guys, welcome back to Tom Wants Things. Welcome to all you new subscribers as well. There has been quite an influx of new people joining the channel through this and through Instagram as well. So cheers guys, along for the ride, really appreciate it. What we're doing today is we are working on the Max Power Peugeot 106. We've got a fair few bits to do today. We're going to get door cards on, got some new window CNC door handles, window handle things, which we're going to put on because we're going to for the moment delete the electric window mechanism because we've been testing that and it doesn't work properly. So the easiest thing to do is to go straight back to manual. It means that we don't need to route all those cables through the door as well, through the Lambo hinge. So for the moment that's just going to make it a hell of a lot easier to get this car back up and running. So also what we've done, as you can briefly sort of see, is we have moved the car slightly in the garage so it's much more straight, which is going to make it much easier because what we're now going to be doing is jacking it up and getting all the wheels off because we are going to start to replenish and replace a lot of the suspension components that I showed on the previous video that were rusted out, as well as undersealing the whole car, taking off any of the surface rust that's there and treating anything that we do find. There might be a few sections that we might need to cut out and weld in a new piece, but from what I've seen anyway, it's pretty good under there. Right, so I'll do a quick flight around for all you new guys that have joined, just on the 106 and where we are up to on it. So looking at the car, as you will have seen from previous episodes, and if you haven't, go check them out. We've redone the whole front end, smoothed everything off. All of the repair work's been done on the front bumper, so that's looking pretty damn good. We worked through all the fenders, making sure that they were all sorted. Did the whole bonnet. We've started putting windows back in the car, so we've got side glasses, the sunroof, and then what we are missing at the moment is obviously a windscreen. Still on the lookout for one of these. Found one, but it's a fair distance away, so we'll hopefully at some point be able to go up and grab it. And then moving around to the rear, we've got the Pikachu spoiler, which we've been working on as well. A bit more work to do on this, but it's looking a hell of a lot better than it did when it started. Basically this is a Furious 2 Corsa B wing that's been cut up, moulded to the rear hatch, and then we've added in this top blade which is off of the old 911 GT2 rear spoiler. Glass back in, then we've got our custom tail lights on the rear as well, and then back into this rear bumper, which we've done loads of repair work and smoothed it all off as well, because you can see that it's obviously in primer. We have done a fair amount on the interior, so just sorting bits out, which if we just open up, so we've got these seats, Porsche Cayman seats out of my car outside, so we're going to be putting these into this build. Got obviously the Max Power pedals, seatbelt covers, and then we've been working through some of the interior as well with our flip out head unit and stuff in there. It's looking a bit dirty at the moment because we've just kind of been chucking everything in while we're moving everything around the garage. But yeah, right, so first things first, I think we're going to crack on, remove everything out of the middle of the car, and then we're going to start to remove the old electronic window winders, window regulators, whatever you want to call them, so that we can get round to installing our, and sure we can find them in here, our new sort of machined aluminium sort of window winders. So we're just going to get these on for the moment, nice and subtle. We can just have these on there, and then if at a later date we want to change them, these are just cheap off of eBay, so I think for the pair of them they're only like 20 quid. So we'll chuck them on for the moment, be able to use it as a car, and also have the windows go up and down, which would be great. And then at a later date, if we want to put the electric ones back in, I'm going to take the motors and stuff apart and just test everything to make sure it's, well, just to see if we can find out what exactly is going wrong with them. So anyway, we're going to crack on with that now. Alright, just show you what we're working with. This is the mechanism that's gone over the manual regulator, or the regulator that sits behind it. This is then fed down here to the electronic motor, which sits in here, held on with 1, 2, and then 3 on the side here, and then we can just sort of disconnect these cables, and then just sort of, I think we could just leave them really in the door, so we don't need to take anything out of the loom, because it looks like obviously someone has definitely spliced this in afterwards, as we can tell. So what it means is effectively all of this is then redundant, because I don't think we're going to be using any of the old door mechanism anyway, because we're going to need to put this on poppers because there are no door handles. So yeah, we're just going to crack on, whip all this off, and then we can start to piece together the door cards and get those in place. Right, and then obviously bash on the old mole grips just to make sure the whole window mechanism is working, and then yeah, so he's going to need a little bit of greasing up, but there we go. it's working. So yeah, basically what we're going to do now is take these off, and then we'll get the door cards built and put back on again, which are now sitting up above us on the roof. And then there's a couple of pockets and stuff that go on those as well, which are sitting over the back there on the shelf of doom, which is just full of random spare parts for builds that we've thought about doing and then never got round to, and then this thing's taken over. And then we're just going to whip this side off afterwards, and then we should be ready to go. So crack on that now. Okay, I'm also looking at all these bits as well. I'm wondering how this all goes together, because I've actually got no idea. So, and it looks like obviously the handle sits kind of where the marks are on there, so it looks like it should sit like that. All this doesn't seem to match up, so I don't know whether I've got the wrong parts. And then it looks like that kind of sits over like that, would maybe pass through this gap here, which kind of makes sense. And then you kind of line up these holes on the bottom here, which looks like that works. And then finally I think this piece then somehow clicks in there over the top. I mean, that looks sensible. I think that looks correct. So yeah, anyway, we'll see how this goes. So we're going to get the door card on first, then we're going to start to piece together these bits and see if we can work out what the hell's going on. Right, I think I better go and look for some screws. Right, so I think we found the bad boys in the box of random bits. So well, that one's lost. So now we're just going to whip this on and see where we get to. Right, so there we go, door card in place for the moment. Everything kind of in as it needs to. Just got to tuck in a few more bits on the top. But we'll do that with the door closed so that we don't mess up the ladder hinges. So now we're going to work out our little mounting mechanism that will go on here for our little window winder. And then what we can also do is get the little cover that I think is over there, surround piece for this. And then this will be one door card sort of fully complete, which is kind of cool to have all this back in place, and we can give it a good wipe over and get that sorted. So right, so these sort of universal things come with tons of different sizes and stuff, because they try and kind of fit every car that we can or they can fit onto it. So I think what we're going to do is use this little adapter, so this piece will slide nicely, as you see, over the top, and then what we can do is then attach this piece in on there, and then it kind of covers almost the whole hole, which is kind of cool. So then these will be kind of positioned as you see them like that. So we can either do it this way, or we can find the other ones that flip around the other way. I think this way looks better. Sort of throw down in the comments if you think it should be better the other way, and we can just flip them over. So yeah, we're going to get all this sleeve and stuff all mounted up properly, and then yeah, should be pretty damn good. So crack on that now. Right, so this was a little bit more of a pain than initially thought. There's still a bit to do, but in essence, if we spin this round, window coming down, and then same principle, and back up again, window back up on the top. So I'd say that is a job well done, and there we go. Just giving it a little bit of a clean up as well, so you can start to see got this little cover piece back on as well. And I think, yeah, looking pretty damn smart, to be honest. Don't really mind this material, but I think when we decide what we do with the interior, I'll recover this whole section to kind of mimic exactly, well, whatever we want to do with the rest of it, to be honest, because we've kind of got effectively free reign to do anything that we want. But yeah, really happy with how this has come out. I think going back to manual was the right move for this. I was just, rather than messing around trying to work out why this wasn't working and bits and bobs, it's just easier just to go back to manual winders, and then kind of get these nice little machine bits on anyway, and then we can work out what we do with this afterwards. So yeah, crack on with the other side and I'll get back to it. Right, sometimes you just got to accept defeat. So been bashing away at this door. Other side, absolutely perfect. No worries with that one. Everything lined up absolutely great. This one, however, is an absolute nightmare. So nothing was lining up. So you get the top in, this doesn't line up. you sort of take the top off, and then obviously then you're left with this massive gap in between, and this just sits way above where it needs to be. Now the bottom holes then don't line up, so I, rather than just bashing it around at the moment, which is what I'm doing, which is potentially going to damage sort of hinges on the door and all sorts, I'm going to take 5 for the moment and leave it as it is, and we'll attack this another day, because if I've learnt one thing with doing this sort of stuff on cars, is when you get to the point where you are really sort of struggling with something and you're potentially going to break it, just take a step back, take 5 minutes, take 10 minutes, take a day, and crack on back with it afterwards. So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to try and get the car jacked up, get the wheels off, and then we can get it on axle stands. Right, so we've got it up in the air to a little bit more of a usable working height. As you can see, major droopage on the front, and then hardly any movement on the rear, which is because the rear end's notched. So the rear axle on there, which actually I think has been reconditioned. When we're kind of looking in there, it's sort of VTR rear end, so it's bright yellow, sort of with the red bits all over it, anti-roll bar and stuff. But clearly there is a lot that we need to do. So as we showed on a previous video, in here all the brakes are absolutely shot, totally rusted, going to need to fully get replaced. So what we will probably do quickly now is I think whip the wheels off, but we need to try and find a place in this garage where we can leave them, because it's getting a little bit full of car at the moment. So we'll work out what's best with that. But now that it's up in the air, what's really cool is we can start to work through the suspension. There's a lot of work that is going to need to happen on the underside of this. Relatively speaking, it's pretty good, but as you can see, suspension definitely shot and in need of a total change, and bushes and all sorts of stuff in there is going to need to be done. But the main chassis and stuff looks pretty good, to be honest. There's a few areas where I think we may need to do some work. But relatively speaking, it's not too bad. So anyway, what we'll probably do, as I say, is we'll whip the wheels off now, and then that's probably going to be it. Just kind of getting everything all set up so that we can start work and really delving into the underside of this car, because obviously that's the sort of stuff that stops us from literally just taking it as is, with all the windows maybe not totally finished, and getting it MOT'd. So main port of call is going to be suspension, then brakes, because the brakes are all disconnected, or maybe they weren't even connected on the rear, to be honest, because as we have found out with this car, it looks like it was started and never finished. So I think it's all maybe all been installed, but maybe just not plumbed in. So we're going to look at that shortly. Right, and then a little random thing we've picked up today. Now this isn't for this car, this is actually going to hopefully go in the Porsche, in the rear of it, but a sort of custom made sub box, which is looking pretty cool. It's got obviously an area in here for an amplifier. There was some glass that was in it, but it's dropped off, so we can replace or sort this out, maybe some LEDs and stuff, and then a hole for a 12-inch sub in the top of it. It's all ported out the sides. Looks like someone's gone to the effort of kind of doing an alright job really with this. So because of the dimensions, I'm pretty sure it'll fit in the rear of the car, but if not, then I'm sure we can use it for something else. So yeah, stay tuned for that, because we'll do a video installing this in the back, and then any modifications that we need to make for it, and then we can kind of do all of the cable routing and stuff. It's got some sort of terminals and stuff in here already, so what's quite nice if they've done a proper terminal block into what looks like some fairly decent sort of speaker sub cables. So it looks like, yeah, they've done not a bad job. It's hinged as well, which is kind of nice. So on this bottom, as you can just see in here, there is hinges on this side, which means the whole bottom kind of drops out, which is good, because then it means that you can get all the amplifier all mounted in underneath through all the glass. So yeah, I think we'll stay tuned for that, because that'll be a pretty cool video. Right, there we go, because we show you on this channel the good, bad and the ugly, because it's definitely not all plain sailing, and you 100% make mistakes with these things. We didn't break away the bolts before we jacked it all up, so obviously I'm looking at it now and I'm trying to get the bolts off, and it's not going to happen because the wheels spin, because they've got no brakes in there. So anyway, stuff happens, but yeah, all the time. So anyway, it's just one of those things. It's pretty late actually now on Sunday, so I'm thinking maybe I'll just leave this for another time, and we'll sort it out afterwards, because now I'm going to need to take the jacks off the rear, lower it down, then untorque all the bolts, and then jack it back up again. Got an impact gun as well, but it's sort of 10:30 at night, so I don't think the neighbours will be too happy if I start hammering away at wheel bolts to try and get these wheels off and keeping everyone up. So yeah, anyway, short but sweet video today. Moving on to sort of more exciting things. Over the past sort of couple months now, well, not really a couple months, I don't know, a month and a half maybe, it's been about 4 weeks. We've been doing obviously the polls to pick the wheels for this build. So that was out of 6 different choices. All of those were on my Instagram. So there was some Momo Arrows, TSW Venoms, there was some TSW Evo Rs. We had the wheels that were on it, which are the Dare Motorsport SGTs, I think, or SMT actually, I think. I got corrected by someone. Then we also had these ones up here, the Momo Twins or Twists, whichever way you want to look at it. And then there were also some Volts. Now we've had all the voting in, and thanks to everyone that kind of got involved with that. There was tons of you, hundreds and hundreds, which was pretty cool, to be honest, because it was nice to see that people were kind of interested in building and following along and wanting to kind of give their own input. So anyway, so I've tallied up all of the results, and I'll put kind of the results after this, but it's looking like final decision has been made on some TSW Venoms. It's a fair sort of clear winner really from the beginning. There was sort of the Evo Rs and the Volts were kind of coming close second, followed then by the Twins / Twists that we've got behind me as well. Now, because so many people got involved, I think what we're going to do is we'll definitely need to pick up some TSW Venoms. Obviously they're fairly hard to come by, so if anyone comes across any, we need them 4x108 and we need them 17 inch at least as well. I think really they only did them in 17s and 18s were like really rare. So yeah, we're looking for 17 inch TSW Venoms, and then we'll probably do something crazy like get them chromed or something along those lines where they're just sort of like really poppy and showy. I think as an interim, what we'll try and do as well is we'll try and pick up some Volts, because obviously they came a close second. And then we've got the Momo Twins already, so we may as well keep hold of those as well because we picked them up so cheap. So what we'll do is we'll have TSW Venoms as like main show wheels, so those will kind of be on pretty much all the time, and then every now and again maybe might sort of switch it up and put the Volts on if we find a set, or the Momo Twins, depending on kind of sort of what we're feeling for each of the shows. And then kind of everyone's kind of had a sort of a say in the wheels and stuff, and we can get a rotation of different styles and different wheels. So anyway, so yeah, sort of great for everyone that voted TSW Venoms. There was a hell of a lot of you, so really well done on that. So now, yeah, as I say, the hard job becomes actually trying to find a set. So that is the next job. Right, and then as I've alluded, I think next thing we're going to start to look at is probably like exterior colour. So we're talking sort of total exterior colour on the car. This is going to take a little while to sort out, because there's going to be I've already been getting so many sort of suggestions and stuff from various people about sort of what to do, what they think would be nice on there, and so I'm going to try and put together a list, maybe probably about 10 choices, and we'll try and get some sort of renders and stuff done of those choices on kind of the car so you can kind of see it. But we're going to start to look at colour choices, graphics. I mean, let's go totally wild with this and really throw it out there. It can be sort of, for the moment, for just suggestions, absolutely anything that you can think of, and just chuck it out there and we'll just start picking them up and chucking them into the mix. So yeah, so I'll do an official video on that later in the day. Why? Because yeah, not going to do that now or anything, so it's a little bit late and got tons of stuff to do. So anyway, cheers everyone for watching and staying with it. It's definitely progressing, as you can see, and welcome to all the new people as well. Hopefully you're sort of enjoying the content, and then you can subscribe and carry on following the build and giving your input as well. Follow my Instagram as well. Obviously it's always at the bottom of the descriptions, because that's kind of where I sort of tease a lot of the stuff, and then a lot of the voting and bits and bobs happen along there as well, because it's just easier to interact through Instagram and TikTok and all those sort of social platforms. But anyway, so yeah, thanks all for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.